everyone, Lisa here with you on the Crafty Meraki YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be making a card using two hot foil plates, the Jolly Holly plate and also the Tis the Season hot foil plate and its coordinating dies. So I'm going to be doing foiling and I'm also going to be doing a little bit of Copic colouring too. So let's get started with the card, and I'm going to start off with the foiling. So whilst my machine is warming up, getting ready for the foiling, I'm just going to prepare my cardstock. So I'm using some Nina Solar White 80-pound cardstock today, and I'm using matte gold foil, and I use both of those for all of my foiling today. So just going to start by taping my plate down to the foil while the machine heats up, and once I get that green light shining, I know that I'm ready to go. So I'm just going to flip that stack and then press it down onto the machine, add on my plates on top, and then press the timer button. And once that timer button stops flashing, I can remove the platform, run it through my die cutting machine and bring it back to my desk. And here is the reveal. All of that beautiful plate, which is foiled really well. I'm really happy with that. So I'm just going to go ahead and trim that down. So for the second part of the foiling, I've gone ahead and foiled the Tis the Season hot foil plate off camera. Same process as I did with the other plate. And I'm now just going to take the coordinating die and run that through my die cutting machine. It's super easy to line up these dies, and as you can see, you're going to be able to cut them all out in one pass, which is really helpful. So just popping out those die cuts, and you'll see I've got a further two stockings up there on the right hand side that I prepared earlier. I'm going to keep all those excess images for another time, but we're going to start working on our Copic colouring now of all those three stockings. And so that they don't move around, I've just put some temporary tape down on a piece of paper there, and I'm just going to stick those stockings down. That just makes it easier for me to do the colouring. So I'm going to start off with my aqua teal colours, and I've popped the numbers of the markers up there in the top left hand side, and I'm just going in with my darkest colour BG34, and I'm adding that to the outside of each side of the first stocking. So I will go in then with my medium colour, which is BG32, and blend that out. These two colours are actually quite similar, so you don't see a huge amount of variation until you add in the lightest colour, which is BG11. And I'm just going to work my way down the stocking with these three numbers. I have sped up the colouring a little bit just so that we don't spend too long on that. It's very simple Copic colouring, going from my darkest to my lightest on each stocking and just blending out as I go. One of the reasons I wanted to use Nina for my foiling today was because I knew I was going to be doing some Copic colouring, so obviously the Nina works really well for Copic. So that was one of the reasons why I chose to use that cardstock. And we're just going to move on now to the pinks, and I'm starting off again with my darkest, moving on to my medium and then my light colour. Now the RV4 and the RV2 do not blend very well at all. They are kind of a real way apart in terms of their saturation. So you'll see here they really don't blend that well, and I go back in with my RV04 just to try and get a smoother blend between those two colours. And I repeat the process with the lightest and medium shade of those pinks just until I'm happy with how they blend. And we're going to move on to the greens now. I haven't actually done a lot of Copic colouring with foiled images before, but what I have found is that sometimes you can colour over accidentally over the foiled part of the image, and it just sort of resists it. It doesn't stay on there, but sometimes it does. So to avoid the marker actually staying on those foiled areas, I'm going really quite carefully just to make sure I don't get any on there in the first place. I'm not sure why some markers stay on there and some don't, but it's just best to avoid the foil if you can. And I'm going to go in now with my final green just to colour in the holly, and that brings us to the end of the Copic colouring. We're going to work on the rest of the card now. As I mentioned earlier, I trimmed down my background panel. The plate itself actually is a cover plate, so your foiled panel will be 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches when you cut it down. So I'm just adhering that onto my base card. And here I've just taken an oval die, and I'm just going to run that through the die cutting machine with some white cardstock and then adhere that down over the background panel just using some Nuvo Deluxe adhesive. This is just going to give me a focal point, a place where I can add my stockings onto the background. It just helps to kind of draw your eye into those stockings. So just working out here where I want to place them. The middle one, the pink one, I'm going to pop up with foam tape, but the other two will just be adhered flat onto that oval. So I'm just taping them in place, so that makes it easier for me to adhere them down in the right place. So I just take off the tape now, and then I do the same with the green stocking as well. Otherwise they move around and I'm just going to end up sticking them down in the wrong place. And now I'm just going to take off the foam tape backing from the pink stocking, and I'm going to add that down in between the other two, and I do drop it down slightly so they are sort of sit in a staggered line of 3 rather than straight across. I thought that was more appealing to the eye. So I'm going to work on my sentiment now. This is the Magical Christmas set, and I'm going to use the stamp Noel, and I've done that off camera, so it's just been white heat embossed onto some black cardstock, and I'm just going to remove the foam tape backing and press that down. I often think that a black and white sentiment pops really nicely against other vibrant colours, so definitely one of my go-to ways of adding a sentiment. And to finish the card off here, I'm going to add on some Enchanted Forest gems. These are gold, super pretty, and I'm just going to add those around the stockings and just a few on the oval panel as well. And that brings us to the end of the card for today. I hope that you've enjoyed seeing the card today. I love how this turned out. I love those contemporary colours on a Christmas card. I do use this combination quite often on my own cards at home, and you can see there when I tilt that card into the light all the beautiful shimmer that you get from the foil and the sparkle from the gems. Thank you so much for joining us here today on the YouTube channel. Do give this a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and if you'd want to share it with your friends, we would be very appreciative. I will be back soon with another card for you, but in the meantime, I hope that you have a lovely day. Bye for now.